Hey, what's up, guys and gals? My name is Ricknineg. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you're doing well, and thank you already for being on the live stream and thumbing up and enjoying the content. I really do appreciate it. Let me get things queued up here. We're going to be taking a look at some I Love Lucy episodes, two of them. Let me let you know which ones those are. So we are currently in season 1. We're looking at the episodes The Young Fans. If you don't know, or if that name just doesn't ring a bell, these are the two, the two young people who are kind of enamored and infatuated with the Ricardos. Remember Peggy and Arthur. Arthur was played by a pretty famous actor named Richard Crenna. He was in Rambo and lots of other films and shows and things like that. And there was also, what was her name? Peggy. And Peggy was played by the woman, I can't remember her name. I'm going to look at it in just a little bit. Who, from the Jetsons, I believe. She was the voice. And then we have New Neighbors, and that's a great episode, in my opinion. Love it, with Hayden Rourke and the whole plot to overthrow everyone. So that was great. So hopefully you guys will enjoy this. Let me just grab my book over here so we can look at the facts. Hopefully your guys' day is going well. My day is going pretty well. I wasn't feeling too well this morning. And then, I don't know. I had like a sugar low. I've had those before. But today was like pretty surprising when it came, and I ate something and I felt a lot better. But anyway, yeah, it was just like a weird thing. But I'm feeling a lot better now, and yeah, let's do this. So this has the ballet queued up, and that is incorrect, buddy. It's not what I want. Okay, let's look at The Young Fans. Let's talk about that episode. It's called The Young Fans, as I said. It's a February 25th, 1952 release. I'll just start the episode out. You guys can start it as well. And boom. Okay, so this is episode 20th. 20th? I was going to say 20th. 20th episode. Filmed on a Friday, January 18th, 1952. Rating shares of 56.5 out of 76. Now, 56.5, it's just a little lower than Lucy Fake's Illness. So I would say that is the second highest rating share for an I Love Lucy episode thus far. And so that's pretty awesome. 56.5. Peggy Dawson, there we go. She was played by Janet Waldo. And she, like I said, she played on the Jetsons. So kind of cool. Hey, Nathan, nice to see you on the stream. Arthur Morton, of course, is played by Richard Crenna, as we talked about. And Babalu is the song. Now, what's interesting is that neither Vivian Vance or Bill Frawley, a lot of people ask me, hey, it's not Bill, it's Will. Well, some of you may not know that, and some of you do know, that William, short form of that is Will, and then Bill as well. Bill Clinton, William Jefferson Clinton. So yeah, it's a nickname. It's a nickname. Vivian Vance and William Frawley are not in this episode. Teenager Richard Crenna was 24 years old when this was filmed. This is the only first season show to carry the credit, directed by William Asher, who was on General Service Studios lot at the time to direct the pilot film for Desilu's Armis Brooks, starring Eve Arden, Gil Gordon, and the aforementioned Richard Crenna. So that's kind of cool. Very nice to see you guys to come in the stream. Thank you, John, for coming in. Nice to see you. Jared, nice to see you as well. Great supporter. Gary from Brooklyn. Hello. Rick from Ricknineg, yes. And Elijah, nice to see you, Elijah. Well, some people are starting to come in the stream. In case you don't know, just a little refresher, we're looking at the episode Young Fans. It's, I think, the only episode with both Bill Frawley and Vivian Vance not in the episode. Now, this is interesting. We're looking at Peggy, played by Janet Waldo, come in. And you can, for the first time that I can think of, see the outside of their apartment, kind of their perspective looking in, which isn't something that you see all the time on an I Love Lucy. I don't think you ever see that view ever again like that. Like you see a very similar one going from the Ricardos to the Mertz's place, but not like that of her peeking in. And she's, of course, filling in the coffee mug of Ricky there, and he being surprised, being like, how did that get filled up? Of course, Peggy is in love, infatuated with him, so that's cool. Nice to see you, Ron and Nicholas. Nice to see you. I'm glad you love Lucy. I love Lucy as well. Kippy Boo from across the pond in England, or the United Kingdom. Hi, Rick, not able to watch just now. We'll watch later on. Thank you for watching later on as well. Patrick. Hi, Rick. I just colorized a photo of Barbara Eden in the I Love Lucy episode Country Club Lance. Can I DM you the edit? Yeah, just send it. Post it on my see, that's the thing. A lot of people want to send me things and I appreciate it. Put it on my Facebook. Put it on my Facebook wall, because not only I can see it, like everyone else can see it. And so I want people to post stuff on there on my page. Like that's what it's there for. Do you guys post I Love Lucy stuff, photos, images? You post something obviously having related to the channel. And so that is awesome. So absolutely. You can also post it on, like, tag me on Twitter or something like that. And it's a great thing to do. Oh, there is Peggy. And of course, Ricky getting coffee and everything all over him. It's kind of dribbling on himself there. Your name being Rick could be a reference to Ricky Ricardo. Well, yeah, a lot of people used to call me Ricky Ricardo as a kid. And like for some people, it would bother them. For me, it's like, it doesn't bother me at all. Not at all. Now he's got stuff on his lapel here. And what's great is that Lucy is going to Ricky, like making fun of him, like, oh, a young girl's like infatuated with you. However, it's funny because then later Lucy has a boy that's infatuated with her, and they both got to get those teenagers out of it. What I didn't like about this episode, there's no Mertzes here. And so the problem with that is it's almost like young fans replaced the Mertzes. Like they didn't have room for the Mertzes in the story. So they just were kicked out. And I don't know. It's not horrible because it's just one episode. But that, of course, doesn't make this my favorite episode, if that makes sense. So, yeah. Okay, John H. There have been occasional looks at the street by the apartment building, such as when they left for California. Do you know if these were also filmed in front of a studio audience? So let me tell you, John, and for everyone that is watching this, everything that you watch on I Love Lucy, exterior shots on the street, when they go on the golf game, it's all done inside a studio in front of a live audience. The only episode they didn't do that is Home Movies, and that's because there was a lot of editing involved with like the projection. It was like a new effect they were using. But other than that, it was all on stage. Like even when the cars were there, that's just the genius of the show. It makes it really, really cool. And so keep that in mind. There were a few shots that were done outside, like the George Washington Bridge, I believe. And then in the First Stop episode, when Lucy gets out and goes to check the pecan praline stuff, that was like, they filmed that like separately and just added that in the episode later. So the audience never saw that. So again, 99%, 99.9% of everything on I Love Lucy was always on stage in that studio. Of course, in season 3, they went to another studio. But anyway, yeah, like that's the answer there. Good afternoon, William. I am doing well. Hopefully you are doing well as well. There will have to be a huge stage. Oh, believe it or not, this stuff is okay. I'm not saying it's small, but it's a lot smaller than you may think. You should watch my videos, John. I have 2 showing the actual stage, and you will see that, of course, you can fit 300 people in there. You can fit all of the stages and so forth. Even the cars were not running when they were on camera. They were pulled by wire. And so you wouldn't have the exhaust and emissions issues indoors with all those people there. It would be a safety issue. But they were, again, it's movie magic, right? This is movie magic being applied to television. And it was a very new thing, and it did work out, and there were geniuses for pulling it off. So definitely great questions. Did anyone call you Little Ricky as a kid? Absolutely. It was called Ricky all the time. Elijah, there have been occasional looks at the street. Yeah, that's John asked that, right? And I just answered that. So what episode do you think has the most interesting behind the scenes? That's a great one. What is a great one? Well, anyone with the celebrities coming, like Harpo Marx, I think that was great. That mirror scene, Harpo Marx practiced it, I think once, and then he was done. And Lucille Ball wanted to practice with him like nonstop, hours and hours. And he was like, we got to stop because, of course, you're used to that, Harpo. Like, you've done that scene, but I'm not. And Lucy wanted it perfected. So those are cool things. Things with John Wayne. There's also like little cameos here and there. So there's a lot of cool episodes, but I think all of them with the celebrities are cool because they're all different. The Bill Holden one was great. That's funny that everyone says, no one says William Holden, everyone says Bill Holden, and they forget that it's William. But I get so many commenters like, it's not Bill Frawley, it's William Frawley. It's like people call him Bill. Like Bill is a short form of Will, that comes from William. That's just the thing. Like Bill Clinton, that's where it comes from. William Jefferson Clinton. So it's just funny how people comment on that stuff. Arthur, it is 3 here. 3 p.m. You had a little nap. That's cool. Yeah, so Ron English, yes, I read that Richard Crenna was on Armis Brooks. You're right. Yes. Absolutely. Most expensive set or prop. I do have an episode on that, Elijah. You should check out my video on the most complex sets. And I do mention the most expensive set on there, so you should watch the video. I don't want to ruin it. And there's obviously other complex sets there, but yeah. Hi from across the pond. Love it. Love to see you in the U.S., across the pond, wherever it might be. It's fantastic to see people from everywhere. Oh, and there's Richard Crenna, very sneakily trying to make his way in the apartment, like peeking his head in. He's so weird, being so scared of coming in. Raven Poe, watching the Handcuffs episode today, only a married couple could pull off the whole pretzel thing off. Oh, for sure. Like that whole bedroom scene where they're like intertwined and like they start taking off like their jacket and their shirt. Like it's not suggestive, but think about it in the 50s. Like, you know, they're handcuffed together and so forth. And so it's just something to think about. Oh, there's Richard Crenna, of course. Arthur, say something. All right, let's see. I think the writers who weren't married to each other rehearse the scenes. Oh, that's a great thing, John. What's interesting is that Madeline Pugh Davis and then what's his name? Bob Carroll Jr. Actually, Madeline Pugh Davis would do all of the Lucy stunts. And sometimes they would come up to Lucille Ball and be like, hey, we got this idea for you of like having your face being slapped by someone who's like working at a candy factory, at a chocolate factory, and having melted chocolate all over your face. And Lucy was like, what? That's weird. Like, I don't know if that's going to work. And so Madeline Pugh Davis acted these things out, like just on the spot. She'd be like, yeah, I'd be standing here. I'm Lucy. You'd be standing here. So she'd slap me and you'd go like this. And then you'd slap her. You do the spider face. And that's when Lucy went, ooh, they call that the spider face. And so basically with all of this, they were able to come up with a nice plan into making an episode. And they had to kind of convince Lucy to do it. That makes sense. So it's just kind of cool. Just kind of cool in general. Arthur, so you enjoyed the Tallulah Bankhead story. What was interesting about it? Did you like that, you know, they struggle just off camera? For me, that's just exciting to be able to see just all these behind the scenes facts and information. So Lucille Ball is one of the greatest. In fact, people call her the Queen of Comedy. One of the greatest comedians of all time. She had a show called I Love Lucy, which was like the pinnacle of her work, I would say. And it's one of the main things I cover on this channel. So great question. See, John, I didn't know that. So it's called the spider face because she did the face in an ad where she played Little Miss Muffet and a spider's surprised her. And she went, ooh, right? So that's cool. Yeah. So when they wanted Lucy to do certain faces, now the thing is that you might think, oh, Lucy had like egg all over her in that tango episode, or she had like molasses all over her, and that's just kind of weird and icky. And so of course she would do an ooh's face. They scripted the faces. They scripted the twitches that she would make. Like everything was scripted. And so it's like, how do you type that? How do you type ooh, like E, you know? So what they would do, they would give it things names. So they'd be like, okay, like, ooh, how do we name that? And they gave it like a code name. And so spider face. So they would type in, okay, Lucy gets drenched in egg, like explode all over her. And then she does this and she goes, ugh. You know, it's an example. Let me see what. Lucy was so ahead of her time, Sarah says, a true legend. What makes you think, Sarah? Now I think you're right, but what makes you think that she was so ahead of her time? What quality in her gives you that impression? Now remember, Arthur here, who is played by Richard Crenna, a lot of people don't know this. I made a whole video on special cameos. I made a few videos on that, so you should check that out. He's 24. He's really young in this. And a lot of people know him like later on Our Miss Brooks, which is right next door. Like you can walk out of the kitchen, out of the club, and then go to the wall of the stage, and then boom, you would hit the Armisbrook stage. Like, it was that close. What's my favorite goof? There's a lot of good ones. I would say my favorite goof would be anything with Ricky. Like, there's one really good one in season 1. Let me see if I can find it. Is it called Cuban Pals? Yeah, Cuban Pals. And then Ricky gets mixed up with the English and Spanish, and that's obviously a real goof. He's supposed to speak to Lucy in English. He speaks to her in Spanish. He catches himself in the air, and he just starts laughing, and the audience laughs. He breaks character for a little bit, for 5 to 10 seconds. He laughs, and then he starts again, and then he, like, breaks again, and then he continues. And it's just funny because, like, they just didn't stop, so it was great. So John says, another look was called Credentials because she made the face in the original pilot. When she was asked for her credentials, it was surprising. See, so that's good. There was this nicknaming or secret codes, quote unquote, to certain things. So when they like certain faces, they would like replay them and be like, hey, you know this face that you made? What face did I make? Well, let me show you. Oh yeah, I know that face. Okay, can you do that again? Sure, yeah, okay. Well, in the script, it'd be really funny at this point if you do a face like that. Oh, okay, so let's do the credentials. So they'd add it in there. That's just great. Oh man, Fred was the king of one-liners. He would say, like, Ricky would be like, what's the matter with $20? Or what's the matter with $30? What's the matter with $50? Fred would go, what's the matter with $10? Or there was one about a train, and it's like huffing and puffing, and Fred was like, well, any train would huff and puff when it pulls a heavy load behind him, and he was talking about Ethel. And I mean, it was just nonstop awesome. I loved it. Hey, nice to see you, Angela. I'm doing pretty well. I'm doing pretty well. So you have a question. What do you have a favorite dance scene? Oh man, you think Cuban Pete is so sassy, but she looks so beautiful with Van Johnson. So I have my favorite dance moments, favorite dance routines, or 7 best dance routines. I think those would be my choices. But that Van Johnson one was good. And then the Hollywood one where they're dancing and there's like a lot of love there, of course. And there's just a lot of good moments. Cuban Pete, though, is just great. Like, I think it's like synergy at its best. They're both very high energy at that moment. Seems like it was the beginning of the show. I don't mean this in a bad way. Like, they were trying really hard, but I don't mean like they were overacting. They were just like, they were 100% in it, like doing it. And it was just like amazing, like amazing. And then, of course, when season 5 and 6 was happening, like they were already popular. In season 1, they were just like giving it their all, you know? So SLN, wow, dyslexic there. SLN 2008. Can you notice anything different in the on-screen interaction between Ricky and Lucy toward the end of the series that showed there were problems in their marriage? Absolutely. I will always say this. Go back to season 1. See how many episodes are lovey-dovey. It's focused on them. It's focused on them being lovey-dovey, like kissing. Like right now, they're just like kissing and on the couch and talking. And there just seems to be this magnetism between them. And then we start to get to like season 5, season 6. Like I think it's gradual. I don't think it's just like season 5, boop, it starts. Like it's like a slow like increase of less and less interaction. Like, yeah, it's season 3, there's some very lovey-dovey moments. However, you juxtapose it, like you look at season 1, then look at season 6, and then season 6 is like just so violently, and I mean by violent, it's just so guttural in how like apart they are, but together. But you can feel the tension. It's just like they acted the parts out well, but it's like you can't deny your real feelings, kind of thing. So yeah, I definitely saw that. Nathan, least favorite episode? I would say definitely The Last Birthday. I do not like that episode or the Scotland episode. Both of those. Absolutely. Arthur, the chat is moving. There's a little bit of noise outside. I'm sorry, the cars and stuff. But yeah. Yeah, Elijah, so you ask about smoking season 1 and 2, then they stop. Well, it's not like they stopped. They still smoke. Season 1 and 2, they had Philip Morris as their sponsor. So they were trying to push the cigarettes. They were trying to show them, and they would have allusions to Philip Morris. And then after the sponsorship stopped, and they had others, and so they focused on other things. So it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool in itself. Hello, Jan. Nice to see you. And Arlo. Oh, this is creepy to me too. Like seeing the Ricardos, it's old people like Ricky with white hair, and then we see Lucy like looking like that. Like it's weird because then she like does this weird thing with her teeth, like she takes out her teeth, or she looks all old, and it's just so creepy. Obviously, she does it so well, but it's just like a weird moment. And like I said, it seemed like they just couldn't get over the fact that the young fans were there, or that is, Arthur and Peggy, and like the Mertzes didn't have a place in the script, and so it's just kind of weird. However, it's just weird to me that this episode got so much. It just got so much attention. I'm trying to look here. Wow. I'm just looking at the rating share for the upcoming episodes, and it continues to increase, meaning that people love the show and more people started tuning in. Like, I'm like, okay, we're almost 60%. I think it's almost 70%. I think when they have the baby, it's in the 70s somewhere. 70, almost 80%. Like, think about that. Like 80% of televisions watching one show. Like across the United States, right? 2 to 300 million people. That's insane. Of course, there are not that many sets, but like every home, almost like middle family home, like has set. That's crazy. Yeah, Raven. So that's a great question. Remember that there are 3 cameras, and so they were on the shot, and then they would know when the director would be like focusing on something. Then they would move around. Before they would move around, the director would know, and like another camera was stable, they were focused on the action, then he would switch. So I used to do that. So it's like 3 cameras are focused in on something. When one is stationary, they would go, and then they would see that they're live. So they don't move until their live button is off, right? And so the other one could find a shot and it would stay there. And then once it was on the shot, they would switch to this. So it was on the shot, and it's like, okay, let's change now. They would switch. This guy would say, okay, this is off on the camera. And then this guy would have to stay. And then these 2 would be looking for shots. And so it would be nonstop like that. And sometimes they would even practice like what shots were doing what. So it was really choreographed. Great questions. Have you watched any episodes of Life with Lucy? I watched one. There was one with John Ritter. And it was kind of cool to see him like acting with her. I enjoyed that. But other than that, no. I just don't think it's that exciting as like an I Love Lucy episode. I think Desi was such a powerhouse as well. Bill Frawley was such a powerhouse. They had their own forte. And it's not because they were men, because I think Lucy kind of took the place of both of them. But then without them, it was just like not enough, not the same. And so, that's just what happens when things change. They're not the same. Let me see. Desi had white hair at the relatively young age and had to dye it. Desi Jr. all had white hair. Yeah, well, I don't know if you guys can tell. A little secret. I'm not ashamed of it. I have white hair coming in. There's like one right there. But I have kind of lightish hair. Like my hair looks dark, but in the light, it lightens up. And so kind of blends in. But yeah, I mean, I knew a kid when I was in like 7th or 8th grade. He had white hair, like all on the sides, like an old man, and he was 12. And so it's just a thing. All it means a hair follicle, dies. And so there's no pigmentation. So it is what it is. Nice to see you, Yolanda. Jared says, Desi Arnaz and Lucille Ball were truly one of the best comedian duos and business partners in the industry. I would 100% agree. The thing is, it's like Abbott and Costello, and then you just have Abbott, and Abbott does a show. Like, yeah, it could still be entertaining, but it's not Abbott and Costello. 3 Stooges. Boil it down to 1 Stooge or 2 Stooges, but it's not the same as 3. And even if you replace 1, like people don't like Shemp as much as Curly sometimes, or people like Shemp much. That's why, because it's like people gravitate towards something, and then once you change that, it's just not the same, right? So that's a reality. Think of any duo, Superman. Well, Superman kind of goes alone, right? Batman and Robin. You don't really need Robin because Robin plays like second to Batman. But anyway, it's just interesting to note. Yeah, Raven. So great point. They seem to get better at the cameras after season 1. You know what episode's a mess if you really want to see camera work? Lucy thinks Ricky's trying to murder her. That was done with 4 cameras. It was the only episode filmed with 4, and it was a mess. The reason was because, like, 3 is already a lot of work, and 4 it was just like excruciatingly hard because remember there would have to be like 4 how can I explain it? 4 strips of film that they were putting together. And they scrapped the 4th camera after that because they were just like, it's just too crazy. So they made a special machine that can use 3 negatives at the same time and splice them. And it was easier to do that. They invented it just for the show. And then they obviously kept using it until they went digital. But yeah, that episode's a mess. It was the first one. It was kind of like trial, but it's the 5th one that aired. It's the first one that was filmed. Yeah, Jan, very good point. When Lucy got the eggs all over her shirt, that was the first time they did it with the eggs. Yep, Lucy wanted a real reaction, so great point. Yes, Yolanda, nice to see you as well. I'm doing well. I'm doing well right now. Absolutely. Eyes are like... Did Lucille Ball do any shows that didn't have a variation of her name in the title? Don't believe so. I mean, yeah, like... I mean, I'm sure movies and stuff, but to be honest, I wouldn't say I'm an expert of I Love Lucy. I just know and I love the show a lot. But I know very little about the movies and her work on them. And I mean, it's more of you guys that tell me about it. And I'm learning because of you, all the films and stuff that she did, because I was really not into them. I was just strictly I Love Lucy. And I just love that show for what it was. I love the work that it was. Yeah. If I had a show or an episode to watch forever, like a show, you mean like, oh, an episode. So an episode of I Love Lucy to watch and to watch it forever. It's a great question. Which episode I really love? Like the one LA at Last, I can watch that forever. Home Movies is great. I can get tired of it though. What else? There's a few in season 3. I really love season 3. Like that to me is the pinnacle of the apartment episodes. There's a lot of good quality stuff there. The rodeo one is pretty hilarious. So I don't know. There's just a lot of good stuff, in my opinion. You know, Raven, there's a lot of good episodes in season 1. I could see where maybe you don't like it. Oh, that's creepy. Lucy just took her wig off, and then Ricky grabs it and starts laughing. Yeah, I don't know. There's a little bit of genuineness in that laugh right there. The laughs that they both have, like that moment where they just end up hugging. Like, think about that. They didn't really do that much. That joy and laughter isn't found in 5 and 6 as much. So keep that in mind. That's why I have a special place for like even season 1. I know some people don't like it as much. I think it's well done. I'm gonna start New Neighbors. Young Fans just finished. New Neighbors, you can cue it up with me. It is a March 3rd, 1952 episode that was filmed on, it's the 21st episode, filmed on Friday, January 25th, 1952. Rating share is 58 flat. So a lot better than Young Fans. 58 flat. Now, I love this episode. I'm looking back. 57 was Lucy Fakes Illness. Yeah, this is the most popular I Love Lucy episode in terms of rating share ever, starting from episode 1 all the way to 21. So you'll know that fact. It'll be like in the first 20 or 25 episodes. What's the most popular? New Neighbors. Absolutely. Actually, Fred Now to Have a Fight is more popular than New Neighbors. But anyway, popular meaning most people tuning in, right? The rating share. Supporting cast, Tom O'Brien, Hayden Rourke. I love him in I Dream of Jeannie. It's hilarious. And Mrs. O'Brien is played by K.T. Stevens. Not Katie, but K.T. Maybe it was a play off of Katie. I don't know. Sergeant Morton was Alan Jenkins, and Alan Jenkins is in a few episodes. He's in this one. He's also in Lucy and Ricky Are TV Fans. Fred and Ricky Are TV Fans. And he's in one more you guys will probably know about. I love this. Lucy and Ethel are hanging out of the apartment room window. We never really see that again. What that is remember, everything is open to the audience. There's just cameras there. They can literally walk from the audience to the set. Like, that's how open it is. There's no fourth wall. And so this was just like a little panel that was brought before with the hole cut out, and the camera zooms in. It looks like they're looking through the window, which is kind of cool. Now, a note here, K.T. Stevens, who plays Mrs. O'Brien, and her actor husband, Hugh Marlowe, were among Vivian Vance's closest friends. So that's why she was chosen to play the part in this episode. So that's kind of cool. And I love that they're leaning on pillows because they were probably like, oh, they probably didn't even have time to finish the set. It looks really scratchy, like that window area with the ledge and everything. It's like they're hanging out of their apartment window. It's kind of cool. All right. Let's just go back to the comments here. Do I have a favorite of the comedy hour? I have a few. Like, I don't think I can narrow it down to one. I love the uranium episode. I love the summer vacation one. I love the Milton Berle one. And I love the Danny Thomas one is pretty good. I like that one. There's one that I'm forgetting that I want to mention. The Mexico one is all right. It's not like my favorite. Let me just see which one. Alaska one's all right. The Sun Valley one's pretty good too. Like, I love a lot of them. I know people have their favorites as well, so it's just good to hear, who likes what. So it's always enjoyable. What are your guys' favorite? Arthur, you like Lucy in the Bastille. You can't watch that one. Why not? You don't like it that much, or you like it enough you don't want to ruin looking at it over and over? What's my favorite Hollywood episode? I made a whole video on that in terms of my season 4 favorite episodes, so you should take a look at that. I think you'd enjoy that, Jan. You should look. I have over 100 I Love Lucy videos in my playlist, so if you take a look at that, I have a lot of those things answered, and I think you'll enjoy it. I think you'll enjoy looking at it. Okay, my thing is glitching out here. My chat glitches out. Do you prefer the old opening theme or the rerun one? I do like the cartoons, I have to say. The old one's pretty boring, just with the heart. But I do love the cartoon, like the Little Ricky and Lucy cartoons. Yeah, Mickey, you're right. That was one of the facts I read over here. She was good friends with Vivian Vance. All right, let me see back here. Interesting, John H. Yes, so I'm glad you're very resourceful in finding. Katie Stevens was born Gloria Wood, daughter of a Hollywood director. She chose Catherine Stevens as a stage name, and Katie did eventually become Katie. Makes sense. See, it's because you have your stage name. It's more popular and so forth. Yeah, see, Angela, I made an episode on that, and that's that Dory Sherry, the guy who played Dory Sherry, because they were going to get the real Dory Sherry, but they couldn't last minute. And so they were able to get Philip Ober, who was just a last minute replacement. Philip Ober, the husband of Vivian Vance, one of the husbands. She married a few times. So, yeah, it's kind of cool. Brandon, so you love the Hollywood episodes. They're your favorite thing to do is binge watch all of them. Yeah, there's this special feel. Like, I know some people who like certain TV shows, but they get upset like when they leave the change of setting. But I love the change of setting of that. It's just really fun. This is a really cool scene because for the first time we see Fred, like, it looks like a hallway, or maybe it's his bedroom, and he's calling on the phone, and it's just like a corner set piece. It's like very small, and that was probably brought in front of like their kitchen, the Ricardo's kitchen, because that's the smallest space that they had. There's 4 spaces from right to left. You have the club, kitchen, main living room area, and then the bedroom, and then even Little Ricky's area. And so, yeah, this is kind of cool to note that. Philip Owner was original general in I Dream of Jeannie. Yes, right? He was on that show. Yes, you are correct. Nice to see you, Scott. Do you like the episode of the golf game? It's a good episode. I definitely like that shot sandwich. Very, very good episode. Sorry, they're loud people outside. I don't know if you can hear it. I apologize for that. It's neighbors. What can you do, right? I can close the window, but it'll get so stuffy in here. All right. I've told friends if you ever get $1 million, you get a house that recreates the Hollywood suite is on the rooms. That's really cool. I've never thought of doing that. If you get really, really rich, do that. Let's win the lottery, guys. Let's just win the lotteries. Now, what's really interesting is Hayden Rourke's portrayal of Mr. O'Brien. He's able to make like an accent. So a lot of these actors are classically trained. And And what I mean by that is they weren't just good at like acting or good actors. They were good actors. They were singers most of the time. They did accents, maybe not a lot, at least like one or two. And they were just well-rounded. And what's funny is now it's like people could barely act or they could barely sing and they just auto-tune them. And it's like now it's just like, who do you know? And that makes you become popular. Like before, yeah, you had to know people, but it was like, wow, this guy's really talented, like Fred Astaire type talent. You know, you put him on there, he acted, he could dance, he was a comedian. Like he was just like a well-rounded guy. Think about Bob Hope, again, a comedian, and he was an actor as well, and he had like production honcho or production power as well. It's just a different time, a different world. John H. Back around 2001, you visited the Texas State Fair, and the sets from I Love Lucy were there, including the Hollywood Suite. That's interesting. Sounds a little strange that they would bring it to like a fair, right? But yeah. Yeah, when they drive into the Hotel Angela in the first Hollywood episode, it was like they're almost going to hit a car. Now, you mean what episode was in that shot? Because remember, that shot was exterior shots, and they didn't really use the Ricardos or the Mertzes. They were other actors. And when they were in the hotel, they were on set. They weren't really in a hotel, right? All right, Nathan, thanks for stopping by. Jerry Seinfeld took the whole apartment set, the bedroom, the bathroom, kitchen, everything, had his house added on. He actually hooked everything up to his work. That's interesting. I've never heard that before. Hello, Lonnie. Nice to see you. Favorite prop or set? I don't know. Favorite set? I mean, definitely the main apartment for sure. Oh, now this is great because we have the O'Brien's apartment. Now, this episode, you don't really get to see the the Ricardo's bedroom. And so what that was, essentially, this is the same set as the Littlefields. If you remember, the Littlefields had their, it was like a house, but you can see the doors in the same spot. And then you can also see that there's a fireplace, the exact same fireplace that the Littlefields had. And what's funny is they could this is all like wood, and they could like plaster over some of these things in less than a couple hours. They just need to wait for it to dry. And within a week's time, they could just dress a set differently and to change certain things. But like that is the same fireplace. It's just so interesting to see that. Yes, Angela, they're pulling into an actual hotel. The problem is there's so many. There's like the Beverly Hilton, the Beverly Carlton, the Beverly Wilshire, the Beverly Hills Hotel. And I don't remember offhand what it was. I would have to put the episode in and know off the top of my head. Now, what's great is that when Lucy comes into the apartment, there's like a stuffed bear, and there's like a hat on the bear's head, and she like crawls in and she looks and she gets spooked by the bear. Like her reactions are like amazing. She was fantastic, like everything she did. If you guys haven't given the video a thumbs up, I would appreciate it. It does help out the channel. There are 24 people watching currently live. Of course, more people watch the video in the course of the video being released. But if you haven't given the video a thumbs up, I would give you a friendly reminder. Please do so. It does help out. It's a great way. It's a great free way to do it. And some people ask, what's the best free way to help your channel? Watching the videos, subscribing, hitting that bell button, and of course, hitting that like button. So it's great. Thank you. Thank you, guys. And I always see people forget. People want to support. Like John just said, thumbs up now. Thanks for reminding. I appreciate that, John. Thank you for thumbing up. And to everyone who's thumbs up, even if you're watching this afterwards. And for supporting in general, it's just something that people forget. I forget. I watch my YouTubers and like I'll finish. I'm like, great video. And I just click out. Or sometimes they'll remind me at the end. I'm like, oh, yeah. Oh, no, I'll click, just to help them out. I help out other YouTubers all the time. I try to share their videos if it's like a good one that I like. Or sometimes I watch their stuff, recommend it to friends. And it's always great. Support the streams there. Well, Mickey, there's so many ideas for episodes, and I have not forgotten that idea. Again, it's in my book of episodes, and in due time. So Jan, what you need to do if you want to know when these live streams are, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit the bell button, and that'll notify you when I do these, as well as post other videos. So make sure to do that for just notifications. It'll email you, it'll let you know through your phone, your text, whatever you prefer. And yeah, like I said, I have over 100 videos on my channel with rich information, photos, behind the scenes info, footage, all that good stuff. So Scott, if you can be a little more specific, where was the Mertz's apartment? What do you mean by where? Like location-wise in regards to the Ricardos? All right, Scott, if you were to make a list of the top 10 most iconic sitcoms of all time, would you put I Love Lucy #1? Yep, absolutely. And we're talking about sitcoms, so yes. Seinfeld would go on that list. Home Improvement would go on that list. There's a few others, like, because now we're talking about sitcoms. I love other shows that are not sitcoms as well. Futurama, would that be one? Simpsons would definitely be on there. Yeah, I mean, there's a few others, but like Simpsons top 10 shows of all time. Yeah, I mean, it's still running. It's still very geniusly written. It's technically a sitcom. It's just not live action, but yeah. I can't come up with the exact 10 list, but I mean, those would be some that I include at least top 5, top 6, top 8, you know. All right. That's funny. See, it's pretty funny sometimes how these things work, how, you know, this censors people and what they say. Whenever someone writes like the Dick Van Dyke Show, it'll censor what you say, and so I have to approve it. It's kind of funny. Like sometimes with people message stuff that is not pleasant, it'll just remove it, which is kind of funny. And so I'm glad it's easier for YouTube to do that. Because I mean, we don't want that. We don't want any negativity around. They can go somewhere else and spread that negativity, but not here. Not here. Here we're doing positivity and just entertainment and fun stuff. So hopefully you guys enjoy that and are here to do that as well. Your favorite set was the ship going to Europe. Oh yeah. So that one was Bon Voyage. Bon Voyage. That's a great episode. Great moving set. I talk about that more in the complex set video. So if you haven't taken a look at that, you should. Really, really true. It's a great episode. So some of you guys like Dick Van Dyke as well. Andy Griffith's Show. Nice to see you, Robert. Golden Girls, Mama's Family. You guys are putting lots of episodes, lots of shows. Will and Grace, lots of cool stuff on there. Lucy Show, Vivian Vance, or Gil Gordon. Oh, I've watched the Lucy Show. It's not my favorite thing to watch. Vivian Vance or Gil Gordon. I think they're just different. Who would I like best? I think Vivian Vance was very different acting in that show. Like she wasn't frumpy Ethel Mertz, and Gil Gordon was just like upset all the time. And so I don't know. I think Gil Gordon played really well with Lucy, but then Vivian played really well with Lucy, but in another way. They just acted differently and they did different things. Hey, Francis, thank you for joining the live stream. I appreciate it. It's your first time watching your live chat, so appreciate you coming on. Very good to see you. Nice to see you. Hopefully you're staying in tune with all the videos and enjoying the content. All in the Family is very good as well, according to Jared. Nice to see you, S. Martin. Awesome that you joined the live stream. Do you remember the first name of Mrs. Trumbull? I do. Do you guys remember the first name? And it is found in the episode Never Do Business with Friends. So yeah, that's the episode where the name is revealed. Yeah, well, of course, Pushkin. Vivian demands to be called Viv and not Ethel, right? Because it's a different character. It's not a demand. It's more like that's how her character was. Like she wasn't playing Ethel Mertz. She was playing someone else. Was it Vivian Backley or something like that? Yeah, like I said, I haven't really watched that show in a while. So, yeah, Raven, you got it. Matilda Trumbull. Hey, Carl, nice to see you. Lucy in London, great episode. Ooh, Can you do a video of a compilation of the actors on I Love Lucy laughing on camera? The only thing with that, people would want to see footage. They wouldn't want to see photos of them laughing, or maybe they'd want to be like, where's the footage? And so I have to be cautious. Now, this is great because Lucy is freaking out about the whole O'Brien's going crazy, and she's thinking that they want to take over the Capitol and kill everyone. Of course, that's not what's happening. However, she's taking it to another degree, and then she starts to convince the Mertzes and her husband Ricky that something really is going on. And so it's just a funny episode, like, all in all. So it's like, why are they trying to rule the world? And she's like, well, they can, so they can take our identities and like take over the Capitol or something, or invade the Capitol. And it's like, oh, Lucy, her ideas. He's calling the police, and they think she's not doing well. It's just fantastic. It's like, oh, honey, you gotta relax. Gotta relax, honey. And they all think she's like a little sick and she needs to go to sleep and get a good rest. Robert, let's not add perjury to our other charges. Yes. Great courtroom scene in the TV episode. Pickpocket Pearl and Babyface, right? Desi Arnaz's house in Eastvale. It's a beautiful home inspired by his childhood house in Cuba. No, I know he really loved Del Mar, California. I think he'd lived there. When in danger, just pretend to be a chair. Yep, that's Lucy's philosophy. And she used it in this episode and successfully got out. And Officer Jenkins was like, Madam, what's the problem? And she's like, oh, these people are trying to take over the world and the Capitol and everything. Oh, well, thank you, John. Thanks for the compliment there. And playing Ricky. The golf game. It's a good episode. You have Mother-in-Laws on DVD. Interesting. Yeah, they're putting every show on DVD now. They found out it's a cash cow now. It's almost like replaying reruns and getting money from that with like the advertising. Well, they're like, well, now we can make DVDs and like sell the content while still remaining owners of the actual content, which is kind of funny, even though they sell us like the DVDs and so forth. But yeah, it is what it is. That's business, right? That's life. Now, what's funny is that he's a sergeant in this one. And then in the Ricky and Fred are TV fans, he's not a sergeant. He is a he's like just like not even, what do you call it? Like an officer, I guess you can say. He really has no like high rank. It's just he's under Frank Nelson, who's Sergeant Nelson, they call him. But it's kind of funny because he plays Frank Nelson, like Sergeant Frank Nelson. Kind of cool. Least favorite show, The Lucy Show. Here's Lucy or Life with Lucy. I would say, probably Life with Lucy. Was he a captain, Scott? Is captain lower? See, I don't know the ranks that well, especially with police officer. If you guys are police officers or no. I thought captain was more than a sergeant. I could be wrong, though. Verbal Volley, nice to see you. Thank you. I'm like slumping in my chair. I gotta sit up. Regal Rick. Bill Frawley never had kids. Yep, 102 for Charles Lane, that's for sure. You love Frank Nelson's appearance on Sanford and Son, though I'm not a big fan of the show overall. Sanford and Son was a good show. I watch episodes here and there, but I can't watch too many of them like at once. Like I can watch an episode, maybe two, and then I'm good. Like I can't binge watch it. It's just like too much. I don't know. I guess I don't like it that much, if that makes sense, but it is a good show. On guinea pigs. Guinea pigs should rule the world. Yes. Yep. I made a whole video on Frank Nelson and different appearances on other shows, as well as on I Love Lucy, of course. Yeah. This is great. Lucy's wearing a pot on her head, and Ethel's wearing like a saucepan or like a pasta bowl kind of thing. And then Ricky's in the kitchen. Fred's wearing like a umpire mask, which is funny because that will not protect you from bullets. It's just like kind of cheesy and kind of fun, you know. Do you like the Lucy Desi comedy hour? Absolutely. I love the episodes. I love them. The hour-long ones, yeah. It's still technically I Love Lucy. So, yeah, even though it's not the same and there's a different flavor, like people would even say that. Yes, Skinny Pink should rule the world. Oh my God. Yes, inside joke. I'll just say that. Verbal volley. You have blueprints of the Ricardo's house in Westport, Connecticut, in which some of the rooms. Wait, what? You have blueprints of the Ricardo's, or in which are some of the rooms would you like me to send I would love that verbal volley. If you want to send it through Facebook, that'd be great. If you want to, yeah, send it through Facebook message if you can. And what's great about that is I can post it so that other people can see, so we can share it with the community. I think that's always great. Like, I don't want to hog these things for myself. If you're willing to share it with all the other community and basically our community and the people who love the show, then it would be great. Yep, John H., Bill Frawley, and I'm glad you call him Bill Frawley because he was called Bill Frawley. Although people argue with that all the time, even though there's videos of like Desi and Lucy calling him Bill all the time. That's his nickname. Vivian Vance never had children as well. She was married multiple times. Bill Frawley only married once, and then after that, bachelor for life, from what we know. Did the cast ever say which they preferred, the comedy hour or the regular show? Oh, I can tell you Desi wanted the comedy hour. He was really happy about it. He wanted to continue. Lucy, I don't know. I think she was just like on board. She was just on for the ride. Doesn't mean that she didn't, but she was like, okay, it's a continuation. Bill Frawley enjoyed it, and Vivian Vance loved it. She was ecstatic about the comedy hour. She was really happy and like her character being used more, although she just wasn't too hot about working with Bill Frawley because, of course, they did not like each other. Passionately, they did not like each other. Frank Nelson had the most guest spots. Well, him and Charles Lane pretty much tied it up. If we want to think about Mrs. Trumbull, she was referred to probably more than any other character, but she didn't appear in all the times that she was referred to. So that's something to think about. What happened to the I Love Lucy sets after they ended? Pretty much destroyed. That's what they do with most TV shows. Now you will see sets in like Jamestown stuff, but from what I've heard, they're recreated. Most things are recreated. Now things like outfits and dresses and stuff are still available. I know you can still see Lucy and Desi's like old Mercedes at the museum and so forth. And so all that stuff is available. However, sets are made to be put up really quickly, look good on camera from the angle that the camera sees them, and then very quickly disposable. That's just what they're made for. That's a Hollywood life. And so, yes. Lucy playing the ukulele, you mean? Verbal volley. If you want to mail it to me, address should be down below. That'd be awesome. Only shot 1 hour long a month, something like that. There'd be spaces. There was like a 6-month space for like a couple episodes. So yes. Yes. And great facts for you guys. I love it. Well, thank you so much, guys and gals, for watching. I do appreciate it. Thank you so much for joining me today. I do appreciate it. My hair is getting long. This is long for me. This is really long. We'll see you next time, and don't forget to stay positive and, most importantly, be hopeful.